You know, most of us are taught to work hard, to be persistent, to keep trying. But very few people tell us how to try the right way and what we need to change to truly turn over a new leaf in our lives. We live in a world where everyone is running, but not everyone knows where they're running to. A world where people define success by money, by houses, by cars, by status, but lose track of the most important thing, themselves. Therefore, this video isn't some hollow speech. It's not a preachy pie-in-the-sky sermon. It's a practical journey to help you look at yourself with honest eyes, understand exactly why you haven't gotten far. And most importantly, change from within to move forward with strength. Starting today, you will go through 7 profound parts from developing yourself instead of waiting for luck to how to overcome the winters of your life and the reason why value, not hours work, is what creates wealth. To the truths about ambition, success, gratitude, and the definition of a meaningful life. Each part is a mirror. Not for you to see how small you are, but for you to see just how strong you've always been if you're willing to stand up and if you're looking for deeper, non-judgmental perspectives. Kind but firm reminders and a community of people striving to be better every day, then this is the place for you. Hit the subscribe button right now so you don't miss the videos that will help you not just survive, but live with purpose, with depth, and with true inner freedom. Ready? Because from now on, we are no longer blaming our circumstances. We will change our Silvesto, change everything. Part 1, if you want a better life, you must become better. If you want your life to get better, you must first become better yourself. This is a core truth that anyone who has ever stepped out of their comfort zone, anyone who has struggled through adversity to rise up, understands deeply. Life doesn't operate according to our wishes. Society, the environment, luck, those things are outside of our control. You can't command life to be gentle with you, but you can learn to become strong enough to stand firm against its storms. And you can't change the direction of the wind, but you can absolutely adjust your sails to go in the right direction. So many people live their entire lives waiting for their circumstances to change, thinking that if they were born into a wealthier family, if they had a better teacher, if they lived in a different country, if luck smiled upon them, then they would be successful, happy, and fulfilled. But what they don't realize is this: there are people born into poverty who rise to success, and there are people who have every advantage but live in despair and failure. What makes the difference isn't the circumstance, but how one responds to that circumstance. And the only way to respond effectively is to work on yourself, to constantly develop, constantly evolve, constantly improve. If you wish for your life to level up, don't wish for the world to be easier, wish for yourself to have better problem-solving skills. Don't wish for challenges to disappear. Learn to become more resilient when they arrive. It all starts with you choosing the path of self-development instead of complaining or running away. To become better every day, you need to focus on 3 things: becoming wiser, stronger, and more skilled. Wisdom doesn't come from books alone, but from experience, from the ability to see life with a deeper, calmer perspective. A wise person knows that the loudest person isn't always right, that not all criticism should be taken to heart, and that not every opportunity should be seized. They learn to observe, to listen, and especially to listen to themselves. In every challenging situation, a wise person doesn't ask, "Why is life so unfair to me?" but ask, "What can I learn from this situation?" They use every failure to sharpen their intuition, every wound to refine their understanding, and every stumble to walk more steadily the next time. Strength is an indispensable quality on the journey of self-development, but don't confuse strength with being rigid or emotionless. A strong person isn't someone who isn't afraid, but someone who is afraid and yet keeps moving forward. They feel the pain, but don't let it consume their mind. They fail, but don't lose faith because of it. Every time they fall, they choose to get back up. Maybe slowly, maybe shakily, but they certainly don't stop. Strength isn't about never feeling weak. It's about daring to face that weakness and overcoming it with all the courage you can muster. Every day you overcome procrastination. Every time you don't choose the easy way out. Every morning you wake up early despite being tired. Those are all signs of the strength growing within you. However, being strong alone isn't enough. You need to become more skilled, meaning more valuable in the eyes of others and in your own eyes. Life doesn't pay you for the time you put in, but for the value you bring. A person with high skills, a good mindset, and the ability to solve problems quickly and effectively will always be valued in any field. If you want a higher salary, to be listened to more, to be given bigger opportunities, you need to ask yourself, am I truly worthy yet? No one can respect you if you don't create a reason to be respected. And no one can help you succeed if you don't train yourself to be worthy of that success. Every day is an opportunity to learn something new, improve a skill, expand a limit. When you are no longer the person you were yesterday, your life will no longer be the life it was yesterday. Real change comes from the inside, not the outside. And when your inner strength is great enough, you will realize the world hasn't changed, but the way you walk through it is different now. The reality is no one can change for you. Others can inspire, support, and walk alongside you, but the journey of change is always your own work. No one can go to the gym for you and make your muscles grow. No one can read a book for you and make your mind sharper. And no one can take responsibility for the life you are living. If you want a happier relationship, you have to learn to listen, to share, to let go of your ego. If you want a more stable career, you have to cultivate knowledge, develop skills, and learn to work with others. If you want to live a more meaningful life, you must dare to face the truth, dare to live by your core values, and dare to pursue what makes you feel truly alive. Only when you decide to become a better version of yourself will everything around you begin to change. It's not magic, it's the inevitable consequence of growth. And growth always begins with a decision. I'm not waiting anymore. I will start with myself. Part 2. Life is 4 seasons. You must learn to face them. Life doesn't operate on a straight, steady line, nor is it an endless series of beautiful sunny days. It's like the endless cycles of nature, where the 4 seasons come and go. Each season brings its own lesson, its own challenge, its own opportunity. And a truly mature person is one who learns to live with these seasons, not complaining, not running away, but accepting, adapting, and evolving. The winter of life, that's when the cold winds of failure blow in, when all your efforts seem to become meaningless, when you feel lonely, let down, and lost. Everyone will go through that winter. It could be a loss, a financial shock, a broken relationship, or a career slump. Winter makes people huddle and shrink, and if you're not strong, it can freeze your spirit. But winter doesn't exist to kill you, it exists to forge you. Only when faced with the coldest days do people learn to create warmth from within. Winter teaches us patience, how to conserve energy, and most importantly, how to believe in the light even when darkness is all around. Whoever gets through winter without turning to stone enters spring with a warmer heart, a tougher spirit, and clearer eyes. Then spring will come is natural. That is the time of opportunity. You can't create spring, but you can recognize it when it knocks on your door. A new idea, a relationship with the right person, a promising project, those are the seeds you are given. But if you don't sow, don't nurture, then no matter how glorious the spring, it's just a fleeting, meaningless moment. Successful people aren't those who get more springs, but those who cherish every small opportunity. They don't hesitate when the soil is soft and the sky is warm. They roll up their sleeves, plant the seeds, and begin the process while others are still daydreaming. They understand that opportunity doesn't last forever, and if you don't sow today, there will be nothing to reap in the fall. But sowing seeds doesn't mean the work is done, because summer will come, bringing with it harsh sun and thunderstorms. Summer is when you have to nurture the life you've planted, when you have to sweat to stand guard, to protect your work from pests, from saboteurs, and even from the doubts inside your own head. Summer is the season of endurance and commitment. Many people give up in the summer because they don't see immediate results, because they're tired, because they weren't prepared for the unexpected battles. But summer doesn't exist to test you, it exists to see if you are worthy of the autumn. You will have to face criticism, temptations, and unfair comparisons that make you want to quit. You will have to fight not only with the outside world, but also with yourself, with laziness, with the fear of failure, with the feeling that maybe I'm not good enough. But if you persist, if you keep faith in the seeds you've sown, if you continue to water, pull weeds, and protect the young plant every day, then you will make it through summer. And then autumn will come as a reward for those who did not retreat. Autumn is a season of reaping jets. When you see the results of your silent efforts, when you can feel your own growth, not through words, but through concrete results. Autumn doesn't come for you to show off, it comes to remind you all abundance is created from discipline, from commitment, and from not giving up halfway. How much you reap is because of how much you sowed. Whether you are well fed or not is because of how you cared for things during the summer. And whether you were resilient enough in the winter was so that in this autumn you wouldn't be trembling from lack, but standing firm because you have experienced enough. Life is like that. No road is forever smooth. There will be times you feel empty, then full, then tired, then inspired again. But if you understand the law of the seasons, you won't panic when winter arrives. You won't be delusional when spring comes. You won't complain when summer drags on. And you won't be arrogant when autumn is glorious. A person who knows how to live is a person who knows how to face each season with calmness, with a proactive spirit, and with the belief that every season has a reason for its existence. Sometimes you feel the winter in your soul lasts longer than the one outside. But if you don't let it swallow you, if you keep living, keep acting, then the spring inside you will bloom, even if the wind outside is still biting. You are the sower. You are the caretaker. You are the harvester. Don't expect the harvest to change if you don't change how you live with each season. Part 3, personal development is the path to wealth. There's a question that every one of us has asked ourselves at least once in our lives. Why do I work so hard, yet my income barely improves? The answer doesn't lie in the time you put in, but in the value you create. Life, while sometimes harsh, is fair in a quiet way. You are not paid for how many hard hours you work, but for how much value you bring to others. Think about it. For the same 8 hours a day, why does one person earn minimum wage while another generates an income 10 or 100 times greater? The difference isn't time, because everyone has the same amount of it. It lies in their ability. The person who earns more is the one who produces something of greater value, solves a more complex problem, provides a better solution, and most importantly, is someone the market is willing to pay a higher price for. So, how do you become more valuable in the eyes of the world? How do you develop yourself to the point where no one can ignore your presence and contribution? The answer is nothing new, but it's not easy either. You must constantly develop yourself. You must become an upgraded version of yourself every year, every month, every day. Personal development isn't a slogan to hang on the wall. It's a journey full of sweat, willpower, and persistence. It's the process of facing your own laziness, procrastination, and self-doubt, and then overcoming them, one layer at a time. It's when you choose to learn instead of being entertained, choose to practice instead of sleeping in, choose to confront instead of avoid. Do you want to increase your income? First, increase your capabilities. All legitimate money is the result of the value you give. And to give more value, you must possess skills that the market needs, skills that are not easily replaced, not easily forgotten, and especially not easily found in just anyone. Training your skills is the first step. Whatever your job is, writing, design, business, customer care, farming, or art, there are core skills that determine where you stand in that profession. And those skills don't come by chance. They only come when you spend time practicing, repeating, making mistakes and correcting them, doing and learning from experience, constantly demanding a higher standard from yourself every day. But skills alone are not enough. You also need to train your mindset, the thing that will guide all your actions. A highly skilled person with a narrow mindset is like a great craftsman who is always going in the wrong direction. The right mindset helps you see further, act more effectively, and make wiser choices. And mindset is not innate, it's built through learning, asking questions, observing, and especially through experience. Take time to improve your language, and not just how you speak, but how you think, how you write, how you convey ideas, and connect with others. A person with good communication skills will have more opportunities. A person with a rich vocabulary will have a clearer thought process. And a person who knows how to express their thoughts persuasively will always be a leader in any environment. Then there's disciplinarian element that seems dry, but is the pillar that keeps everything else from collapsing. Having knowledge without discipline is just theory. Having talent without discipline is just potential that was never unlocked. Discipline is when you do what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like it. It's when you wake up early to study, practice, work instead of sleeping in and procrastinating. It's when you refuse immediate gratification to pursue your long-term goals. A disciplined person is someone for whom the future always reserves a worthy place. And don't forget, one of the shortest paths to self-development is learning from others. Learn from books where centuries of experience are stored in a few hundred pages. Learn from successful P.O. Planet to imitate, but to understand what they thought, where they went wrong, and how they got back up. Learn even from those who failed to avoid making the same old mistakes. Learn from friends, from mentors, from even your critics, because every piece of feedback, whether gentle or harsh, can be a brick that builds anew you stronger, sharper, and more mature. Personal development is not a project with a deadline. It's a lifelong journey, and the earlier you start, the further you'll go than others. Every hour you invest in learning, every day you spend improving, will become silent but steady steps that lead you to a life that is not just better but truly worth living. Remember, the world always has a place for. The skilled and is always open to those who strive to become skilled. Don't ask why others get more than you ask. Who have they become to deserve that? When you grow big enough, money will find you. When you have enough value, opportunities will call your name. And when you never stop upgrading yourself, you will no longer have to chase after life. Instead, one day, life itself will turn around and ask, what can I do for you today? Part 4, the power of until. Work until you succeed. No one starts as a perfect version. No one enters the world with the ready-made confidence, skills, and fortitude of a successful person. Everyone starts as a clumsy, flawed, and often fearful version of themselves. But what separates the one who fails from the one who succeeds lies not in the starting point, but in a single word: until. Jim Rohn, the man who inspired millions around the world, was also once a shy, clumsy, and lost young man. He used to tremble when he had to speak in front of a crowd, failed in business, and went through days without a penny to his name, but he didn't stop. He continued to learn, continued to correct his mistakes, continued to get up after every fall. And he did it again and again until he succeeded. Until, a tiny word, but hidden within it is a will of steel. It's the silent commitment a person makes to themselves. I will try until I get it. No limits, no calculating pros and cons, no expecting immediate results, simply continue. This isn't foolish stubbornness. This is the persistence of those who understand that every skill can be learned, every fear can be overcome, every peak can be reached if we just keep going. You don't need to be good right away. You just need to not give up. Someone says, I'm not good at speaking, but no one is born an orator. Someone says, I don't have a knack for business. But the most successful entrepreneurs have all suffered losses. Someone says, I'm not confident enough to change. But confidence is not a gift, it's the result of doing the thing that scares you hundreds of times. You will speak incorrectly until you say it right. You will write poorly until your words touch someone's heart. You will tremble until you stand firm in the spotlight. You will fail until you win. You may be lost today, but if you keep walking every step, every day, you will get where you want to go. Every great person you see out there was once an apprentice. Every persuasive voice was once a trembling first word in front of a crowd. Every champion was once a loser who didn't quit. The power of until lies in this: it removes the pressure to be perfect. It frees you from the obsession with instant success. It reminds you that just because you can't do it today doesn't mean you'll never be able to do it unless you stop trying. In a fast-paced world where everyone seeks instant success, instant money, instant results, the person who dares to go slow, dares to go long, dares to persevere is the one who is different. That person isn't swayed by how far ahead others are, because they understand the real race is with themselves. They just need to be better than yesterday. They just need to not stop. They just need to do it until. Until doesn't promise that you will succeed in a week, a month, or a year. But it guarantees that you won't miss out on your own potential for success if you commit long enough, deep enough, and sincerely enough. Look back at any area of your life where you've improved. Weren't you once terrible at it? Didn't you once want to give up thinking, I'm not cut out for this? But you kept going, and then one day you realized you did it. That is the reward for those who don't turn back halfway. No one can stop you from improving unless you stop yourself. Work until you succeed is not a hollow slogan. It's a choice of how to live. It's when you study your first English lesson without understanding anything, but still open the book every day. It's when you practice the piano even though your fingers ache, but still don't stop. It's when you live stream to only 3 viewers, but still speak as if the whole world is listening. Remember, no one applauds you during your practice. But if you do it long enough, deep enough, the day will come when people admire your results and call it talent, but only you know your talent is the result of the days when no one saw you trying. You don't need to be good right away. You just need to commit to working until you are good. And if today you feel like you're terrible, weak, or lacking, tell yourself, okay, but I'm not stopping here. I will continue until. Part 5, The real formula for change doesn't come from magic. It doesn't happen overnight where you wake up and suddenly become a different person. Change real and sustainable life, a process with a formula. It's not a game of chance, but something you can actively create if you know where to start. Change begins with learning, but not the rushed kind of learning. Learning just to get by, learning for the sake of appearances. It's about deep learning, real learning to transform. And the most effective way to learn, first and foremost, is to learn from your own experiences. Every time you fail, every time you're rejected, every time you say the wrong thing, do the wrong thing, choose the wrong thing, it's a vivid lesson. Not a theory in a book, not empty words, but a lesson from your own flesh and blood. Some people fail and give up, others fail and take notes. The second person is the one who can change their life. You don't need to be afraid of making mistakes. You just need to not repeat the same old mistake. And the only way to not fall into the same trap is to face it and learn from it. The question you need to ask yourself is not, why did this happen to me? But what can I learn from this? But if you only learn from your personal experiences, you will have to go through thousands of stumbles, hundreds of detours, and dozens of pains that you could have avoided. That's why smart people don't just learn from themselves, they also learn from others. Do you know why books exist? Why successful people write memoirs? Why teachers spend their entire lives passing on knowledge? Because life is too short to experience everything yourself. There are lessons that if you don't learn them from others, you will have to learn from the very high price of your own mistakes. Learning from others doesn't mean copying them. It means understanding how they think, how they choose, how they react. Successful people leave clues. If you observe closely enough, you can trace their formula for success and adapt it into a version that suits you. Don't just learn from the skilled, also learn from those who have failed, learn what not to do. Learn how they lost an opportunity because of a bad habit, a hasty decision, or an unworthy sense of pride. It's like walking on a rough road. You don't have to step on every sharp rock to know it hurts. You just need to see where the person before you stumbled and avoid it. And to learn like that, you need three things: observation, listening, and reading. Observe not just by looking, but by seeing deeply. Observe successful people at work. How do they talk? How do they prepare? How do they behave in a crisis? Also, observe yourself. How do you react to criticism? Do you often procrastinate? How do you deal with pressure? Listen, it's an underrated skill in an age where everyone loves to talk. But a good listener is one who captures the most valuable data from others. Every time someone shares with you, don't just listen to respond, listen to understand. And if they are sharing a hard-earned lesson, treasure it as if it were your own. And don't forget, read books, a habit that seems old-fashioned but has never gone out of style. A good book is decades of experience compressed into a few hundred pages. You can live one life or you can live hundreds of lives through books. People who read don't just gain more knowledge, they gain more depth of thought, more vocabulary for communication, and more perspectives to solve problems. However, no matter how much you learn, if you don't take notes, knowledge will slip through your fingers like sand. The human brain is not a warehouse, it's a filter. What you don't actively store, it will delete. Therefore, become someone who builds a personal library of knowledge. Every time you learn something, write it down. Whether it's a great quote, a new concept, a lesson from today's mistake, it's all worth recording. Don't trust your memory. Trust a pen and paper or a digital note. Because when you write it down, you begin to make that knowledge a part of you. The more you learn, the more you change. But you only truly change when what you've learned turns into action. Learning without doing is dead knowledge. Change comes not from what you know, but from what you do after you know it. And finally, the formula for change isn't in a course, a quote, or a motivational video. It's in the habit of learning every day, observing every hour, noting every experience, and applying it every chance you get. You don't have to be a genius to change your life. You just need to be someone willing to learn, truly learn, and consistently live by what you've learned. Part say, success is personal, but not solitary. Success is a personal journey that's true. No one can walk the path for you. No one can live your life for you. And no one is responsible for your life but you. But to think that you can succeed without anyone else, that is an arrogant and dangerous illusion. You can be the one who gives it your all, works hard, and overcomes 1,000 failures. But in every step you take, there will always be some perhaps silently helping you continue. A timely word of encouragement, a small opportunity that was open, a piece of advice you once ignored but later realized was pure gold. Success is yours, but it's not yours alone. Try to think back. Who was the first person to believe in you when you couldn't even believe in yourself? Who had your back when the whole world turned away? Who quietly held down the fort so you could wholeheartedly pursue your passion? They could be your parents, your spouse, your best friend, an old teacher, or simply a colleague who helped you get through a terrible day. No one starts the journey alone, and no one should end the journey alone. The further you go, the more you realize the people who walk with you, even for just a short while, are more precious than any title. They don't always carry the title of partner or strategic associate. They could be the person who makes your coffee every morning, the one who holds the door so you can make it to a meeting, or the one who silently sits and listens when you're about to break. In a world that praises individualism, we sometimes forget a great individual is never an isolated island. Even the most famous, most talented people need a team, an environment, a support ecosystem behind them. Never underestimate the value of a community. When you have a group of people ready to support you, give you feedback, and pull you up, when you're discouraged, that is a strength that no technology, no individual skill can replace. No matter how smart, disciplined, or talented you are, there will always be times when you fall. And in those moments, you will need a hand reaching out, not to pull you along, but to remind you, you are not alone. True success isn't about getting ahead of others, but about bringing as many people as possible to the summit with you. A great leader isn't one who wins glory for themselves, but one who makes their team stronger as well. A great teacher doesn't just impart knowledge, but makes their students better. A successful person isn't just good at doing, they know how to share and how to be grateful. Gratitude is not a formal act. It is the character of a mature person. It's when you're humble enough to admit, I got here, not just because of me. It's when you look back and thank the person who believed in you when you had nothing. It's when you are willing to lift others up just as you were once lifted. A truly successful person doesn't need to shout, I did it, because they are busy saying thank you. Thank you to their family for not leaving during the tired times. Thank you to their wife, husband, or partner for always being there even when they fail. Thank you to their colleagues for the late nights planning together. Thank you to their teachers for the lessons they didn't understand back then, and after they have given thanks, they begin to give back. When you achieve a bit of success, use it to create opportunities for others. When you climb to a higher step on the ladder, reach down and pull others up with you. When you are mature enough to stand on your own, become a pillar for others. Because the most beautiful journey is not the one to the top alone, but the journey of returning and leading many others forward. There will be times when you think you are strong enough to not need anyone, but it's in those moments that you are most likely to get lost. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to open up. Don't be afraid to build real connections. Because strength isn't about how long you can carry the burden alone. It's about how much you dare to share the journey with others. You don't need to depend on anyone, but don't lock yourself in the shell of absolute independence either. Because one person can go fast, but a group of people can go far. Remember this. Success is the result of many hands, many hearts, many instances of silent support. And if you are still on that journey, don't forget to say thank you. Because gratitude doesn't make you smaller. It only proves that your heart is big enough to hold both humility and greatness. Part 7, success is not blind ambition. In the modern world, where speed and fame are celebrated as symbols of success, many people mistakenly believe that the more ambitious you are, the faster you run, the greater you will be. But here's an uncomfortable truth. Blind ambition has never been a guaranteed ticket to a meaningful life. It can take you to the top, but a lonely, desolate, and empty summit. True success is not a frantic race to stand out from others. It's not the list of achievements hanging on the wall or the bank account numbers that dazzle the world. It is something that quietly grows inside you as you pursue something that makes you a kinder, more mindful, and deeper person. People often praise ambition as an essential quality for success. But ambition, if not illuminated by ideals and ethics, turns into a toxic obsession. It makes you trade your health, your conscience, your family, your friends, and even yourself to get something called a higher position. You can climb to the top of the tower of fame, but if every step you take is one where you trample on someone else's trust, then when you look back, all you'll see at your feet is wreckage. Therefore, instead of chasing ambition at all costs, choose for yourself a steadfast ideal. something big enough to guide you, but also right enough to keep you within the bounds of morality. An ideal is the compass, ambition is just the engine. Without an ideal, ambition will soon lose control. And once you have an ideal, you need to combine it with concrete action with substantial achievements. No one can live on ideals alone without creating any value for this world. Ideals must go hand in hand with engagement. You want to change the world? Start by changing yourself. You want to inspire? Live as a living testament. You want to help others? Help them for real, not just with empty words. True success equals steadfast ideals plus corresponding achievements. It's when you don't just dream, but you act long enough to turn your dreams into reality. It's when you don't just want what's good for you, but you also do what's good for others. It's when you don't just conquer, but you also build. And you know what? Success like that will never cause you to lose sleep. It won't make you hide from anyone. It won't make you wear a mask in public. It won't make you bow your head in shame. On the contrary, it brings you peace of mind and the quiet respect from those who have witnessed your efforts. Success is not about running fast. It's about knowing why you are running. Many people spend their whole lives climbing a mountain only to realize it was the wrong mountain. They live with the feeling of having to be better than others to the point that they forget who I am. They throw themselves into an endless race only to find that when they win, they don't know what to do with it anymore. You can live a quiet, unassuming, unglamorous life, but if every day you live true to your values, do something useful for others, and get closer to what makes you feel your life is meaningful, then you are more successful than tens of thousands of people out there. Don't let social media, the news, or the eyes of others define you as not successful enough just because you don't have a luxury car, a villa, or check-ins at expensive places. Success is something you define for yourself. No one has the right to do that for you. You don't have to change the whole world. Just change the world for someone. A poor child you teach. A friend you pull out of depression. A mother you care for kindly. A small community you serve with your heart. Those things are small, but they have real value. And when you live each day with things like that, you are getting very close to a form of success that cannot be stolen, cannot be manipulated, because it comes from within. Be ambitious. But be ambitious to become a deep, kind, principled person who never stops improving. Be ambitious to live a life without regrets. Be ambitious to live a life where when you look back, you can smile and say, I lived kindly and I did something meaningful. That is true success. Life has never been easy, but it has also never been without hope for those who know how to look at themselves and dare to take the next step, even just one small step each day. Maybe you're in the winter of your life where everything is cold, slow, and dark. But please remember, spring only comes to those who are patient enough not to give up in the cold. You don't have to become someone great. You just need to become the best version of yourself a little bit each day, because this world doesn't need another perfect person. The world needs people who dare to be true to themselves, dare to live kindly, and dare to live with purpose. Jim Rohn once said, don't wish it were easier, wish you were better. And this video perhaps is the reminder for you to begin that journey. A journey with no map, no shortcuts, but there is light. Light that comes from knowledge, from resilience, and from the lessons you are willing to embrace. Every small changes a seed. Sow enough seeds and you will see that the autumn harvest is not far away, as long as you keep going. If this video resonated with you, even just a little, hit the subscribe button so that every week we can learn together how to become stronger, wiser, and kinder. Please share this video with someone you feel needs it. A sentence, a perspective, a timely reminder can save a life that is lost. We met here is not a coincidence. Maybe it's because you were ready to stop just getting through the day and start living a life worth living. Thank you for your time. See you in the next videos where we grow together.